I'm Jane Velez Mitchell with Jane Unchained, and we're talking about this horrible trend that is cropping up in New York City of kidnappings of masses of pigeons, of large groups of pigeons by individuals who then throw them in a truck or a van or a car and take off straight out to Donnie Moss of theirturn.net for the latest. Donnie?
Well, Jane, just 2 days ago, a woman with her cell phone camera took video footage of a man who was first feeding pigeons and then ran to his van, grabbed a net, and then netted them, kidnapped them, threw them in the van, and drove off. Now, we know that these pigeons are then sold to people who operate canned pigeon shooting operations. Back in July, you may recall, about 300 pigeons were captured in Washington Square Park, which is in Greenwich Village, again for the same purpose. So this is a very big problem in New York, and I suspect in other places around the country.
Now, I read in the New York Daily News that it's illegal to trap pigeons without a permit. What do you know?
I can't believe that it's legal with a permit, but yes, the news reported that a permit is required to capture pigeons. But why should permits be granted for that purpose at all?
I want to go to two leaders of SHARK, which is an incredible organization that stands for Showing Animals Kindness and Respect. In fact, showing animals respect and kindness. And we're talking today to Janet Enoch and Steve Hindi of SHARK. So, Janet, start by telling me, what is your reaction to this disturbing situation, and what have you learned through your investigations?
Well, pigeon kidnapping in New York, it's been going on for a long time. People have been trying to report those involved. Fortunately, so far, the police are not taking action. They're not taking it seriously. And this is resulting in thousands of pigeons being shipped off to Pennsylvania and other states where these clandestine, where pigeons are tossed up out of boxes and blasted. Some of them, but many of them, hundreds of them, thousands in a big chute, can end up in the surrounding blown off, their wings half blown off, broken. They days before they finally die of exposure, of their wounds and thirst, predation. It's just, in the 21st century, to have this going on anywhere in the world, much less the United States of America, is absolutely disgusting.
Well, I personally find it offensive. Born and raised in Manhattan, my grandmother was a pigeon lover who fed the pigeons. My mother and I fed the pigeons, and I feed the pigeons. Even though I've moved to Los Angeles, I'm a lifelong New Yorker, and I'm bi-coastal, and when I'm there, I feed the pigeons, and I lived there for many years, and I always fed the pigeons, and they're incredible, intelligent animals. Ironically, we have the least respect, and we despise most the animals that have the intelligence and the wits to survive in our midst, and it's a terrible irony. Pigeons mate for life, and you know what? You try surviving on the streets of New York City the way these pigeons do during the heat and then during the severe cold. So, Donnie Moss, what do you think should be done to get a handle on this?
Well, according to the Daily News, the NYPD hasn't investigated this particular case, the one that happened 2 days ago, because no one filed a complaint. We do know, however, that there are activists on the ground in New York City who pay very close attention to this and who have been working with the NYPD for years in an effort to catch the perpetrators. One of the things that I don't think people realize is that the trauma that these pigeons experience doesn't only come on the day when they're tossed into the air and shot down from the sky. From the moment they're kidnapped and thrown into a van until they're shot, they're held captive. So the circumstances around this pigeon hunt are gruesome for a very long time for these pigeons. Back in 2013, a candidate running for mayor of New York City described pigeons as rats with wings. Not that there's anything wrong with rats, but there's a perception that there is. And so that just gives you an indication of how far we have to go to educate the public about the intelligence and why of pigeons and why we should be kind to them and every other animal.
Yeah, well, it's just barbaric. And if you want to shoot, don't go skeet shooting. Throw up one of those little discs and shoot. What is the obsession, particularly in Pennsylvania, with these shoots? And I'll throw that to Janet.
That's this time, and yes, we don't know why they don't just use the clay pigeons like everybody else nationwide. And Pennsylvania is not enforcing. It's actually a violation of the Pennsylvania Humane Law 55 enforced.
These are some, you know, these are very sick, twisted individuals. I mean, they've held guns on us. They've hit us with their automobiles. The people who have, you know this, Jane, the people who abuse animals are willing to abuse. These people pose not just a danger to animals, but to humans as well. Two reasons why this should be stopped. And the people who are involved, they should be held criminally. Make our country a better place to live. One of the first things we could do to do that.
Now,
Donnie Moss, because they're the ones that are.
Donnie Moss, how do we get the police involved? Because we have video now of somebody taking pigeons. I couldn't discern the license plate from the video that I saw, but I think there's got to be enough to track down that individual. And how do we get the police involved? Would you be willing to file a complaint as a New Yorker? I mean, this is an insult to all New Yorkers that purportedly people from Pennsylvania are coming to New York, although I don't think that was a Pennsylvania license plate. I don't know. I couldn't discern. I can't tell. But people are coming to New York and stealing New York City pigeons and taking off with them and then torturing them and shooting them. We've got to do something about this.
Well, there is an activist in New York City who deserves a lot of credit. Her name is Tina Trachtenberg, and she has been monitoring this for many years and is in touch with the authorities. And so I suspect that she has been, filed a complaint or will file a complaint with the NYPD. And I'll follow up with her as a result of this call. I do want to point out that Shark has done extraordinary undercover work exposing the brutality of these pigeon shoots. And they could probably speak to this better than I can, but I'll say it to you now because I know that you and I have a clear connection. Back in 2014, a U.S. senator from the state of Oklahoma held a fundraiser for his re-election campaign in which guests were invited to shoot pigeons. Shark got an undercover investigator into the event who documented about 1,000 birds being shot out of the sky. The footage is absolutely staggering, and if it weren't footage like this, people wouldn't know about the abuses that take place behind closed doors. And maybe Shark wants to elaborate on that.
I believe you're talking about Oklahoma Republican Senator James Inhofe, who held a fundraiser. What do you know? And I'll throw it to Steve.
Yes, it was Jim Inhofe, the climate denier. This is a guy. His wealthy supporters, they blow pigeons. Many of these pigeons, just as in the case of other pigeon shoots, were left in the country. After that, we identified environmental and electioning were violated by Inhofe. We've tried to bring it to the EPA, to the Bureau of Land Reclamation, and I hope I have that right. And a number hold Inhofe responsible, and nobody will do a thing. It's absolutely amazing. Wealthy, whether it's in Pennsylvania or Oklahoma or wherever, they're extremely politically connected, and we cannot get justice for the pigeons. We cannot have these people held responsible to just every peaceful legal length possible. In the case, I want to say, New York pigeon kidnapper. Let's try and find this guy. And if you can do a follow-up, Shark will offer $1,000 for the identity of that pigeon napper, and if he can be identified, then perhaps charges reward for the person who can identify who that guy is.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. You heard it here. $1,000 reward for the identity of the person, and I'll repeat it. You heard it here first. $1,000 reward for the identity of the pigeon kidnapper who took those pigeons, and it was caught on tape. A good citizen caught this, what I believe is a crime, on tape, and we need to get the identity of that individual. Shark, which stands for Showing Animals Respect and Kindness, is offering a $1,000 reward for the identity of that individual. And we're joined now by attorney Nora Marino, who is, okay. Nora, are you there? Or is that your picture?
I'm here.
Okay, well, I don't see you, though. I just see your I don't see your picture.
You're breaking up. I'm not getting a...
Okay. Nora, I think we're going to have to skip it unless you want to try putting your camera on, because I don't think your camera's on.
Camera's on. I can see myself, and I
Okay.
can see you guys, but everything's coming in very choppy.
Yeah, okay. Well, we can't see you, but why don't we do this?
See me? I can
why don't we do this? Why don't you just give us your thoughts on the law in New York City, if you have any thoughts on any of this, and then I'll cover it. Go ahead. Joining us now is attorney Nora Constance Marino, and she is the head of Animal Cruelty Exposure Fund. Attorney Nora Marino, what do you know about this pigeon abduction and shooting trend that is so horrifying? Okay, guys, you know what? I think we're going to have to leave it right there.
Completely freezing.
Okay. All right, thank you. We're going to leave it right there. Thank you, everyone involved. We are going to stay on top of this story, and we will update you when, I won't say if, but when that pigeon kidnapper is identified. Signing off for now.